there's a number of opponents to this. Let's speak to one of them. Joe Rukin is from the Stop HS2 campaign. Joe, morning to you.
Morning, Danny.
Why don't you want this?
Well, there's no business case, there's no environmental case, there's no money to pay for it. It's a vanity project, it's a fast train for fat cats, it's, an environmental disaster that we'll all end up having to subsidise. I can go on. You clip there from Patrick McLaughlin, he's saying people will be upset because it's going through their area. No, people are upset, and this is one thing that they simply haven't realised, is that there is so much opposition to this, not because simply that everyone's a bunch of NIMBYs, but because we've actually bothered to read the plans for this. You talk to an economist, you talk to an academic, you will find that almost every claim surrounding HS2 is false. It's just something, toys for the boys, that they want to build.
So there's no progress in this at all. So students travelling from London to Manchester, it won't be of any use to them?
Well, you reckon a student is going to be able to afford a ticket on this thing?
How much are they going to be?
Well, we obviously can't tell exactly what the tickets are going to be now, will be in the future, but there will be a hell of a lot more than they are now, because HS2 will be a premium service.
So what are we doing? Because at the moment we've got people in trees in Bexhill to Hastings in the link road there saying we don't want roads built and there's no work being done on the local rail infrastructure. Here we got some proper rail infrastructure being built, a massive programme. And how do we progress if everybody says no to every transport project going ahead?
Well, that's the thing. We're not anti-rail. We're not anti-high-speed rail. And this is the thing. There are many, many alternatives to HS2 have been put forward, getting more capacity out of the existing rail network. Now, the government say, there's no capacity. But Arriva have put in a bid for an open access agreement on the West Coast Main Line up to Manchester. They obviously think there's room to get more trains on. Simple things as well, like longer trains would make a big difference. In the days of steam, we had 12 carriages on trains. But now, 9 just going up to 11 on the West Coast. And signalling as well. Again, on the West Coast Main Line and the East Coast Main Line, we have trains that are capable of doing 140 miles an hour. We have tracks that are capable of doing 140 miles an hour. The signalling is not. And we need to move to in-cab signalling like the rest of the world is doing. And this is something that's going to happen anyway, and the government are completely ignoring it. But the real thing that everyone needs is local, sustainable transport solutions, because the majority of people who use trains are not long-distance travellers. They are commuters coming and going from work, and it's those people who will continue to face crush-hour conditions while you have this fast train for fat cats whizzing up and down the country, costing 36 billion quid.
So perhaps you'd have hit the nail on the head there for people living in our area in Sussex and Surrey, Joe, because they are the ones who are in the tin cans going up and down to London every day. Would you rather see the money spent on HS2 spent on commuter services?
Well, absolutely, and that's the thing. People are suffering now, and basically the government are proposing a solution for the least problematic part of the network. If you look at the trains into London, Euston is the second quietest station, oddly enough, after the HS1 terminal into St Pancras. And people, there are plenty of stations in London that are over 100% capacity every day, and those stations are going to carry on like that and get worse, and that is the issue that needs addressing, not just around London and South East coming in to London, but in city regions as well. Like, I've just been talking to Radio Leeds, the biggest city in Western Europe without a light rail solution, and try and get from Leeds to Bradford, it's an absolute nightmare.
But in 13 years' time you're about to get to Leeds in no time at all. Hour and 20 minutes you'll be in Leeds from London, but then you can't get away from there.
Well, that's another thing, is you've got these stations that aren't on the existing station sites, so you lose all the benefits of high speed because you haven't got the interconnections. You look at the one that they're suggesting for Nottingham, which is it's basically Totton sidings. It's Long Eaton. It's as far out as Nottingham as you can get. It's miles away from the city centre, and of course the money that it will need to actually plug that in to the existing transport infrastructure, that's extra. That hasn't been budgeted for, whether that you're looking at Nottingham or Sheffield or Birmingham International all of that money is more money to be spent.
Just a
on
final...
top of the estimated 36 billion.
OK, just a final point then. Say we got a budget. Say we got 36 billion knocking around. Say we had, and, we could agree on an HS line, a high-speed line somewhere, and the route it would take. Can we put to bed the argument about the environmental impact? Because people say, and the thing they always say to me is, the countryside is being torn up. Is it really? I mean, if you've got a dual carriageway road or a high-speed line, does that really tear up the countryside? I mean, what would that be, 100 metres wide maximum? And does that really then destroy whole swathes of the country?
Well, this is at grade, i.e. where it's flat, you're looking at a 72-metre footprint, which is the equivalent of 18 lanes of road. But it's not just that. Because HS2 is designed for 250 miles an hour, they're saying the trains will only go at 220 now, it's got to go pretty straight. And that's why it's damaging so many things that are of importance. 160 wildlife sites, 49 ancient woodlands just on stage 1. I haven't really seen the plans for stage 2 as of yet. But the other thing is, because of that speed, you're using so much more energy and so much more fuel, 3 times, because the laws of physics really kick in when you hit about 190, which is why Eurostar only goes 186. And that means that you're going to use so much more energy, and it's actually worse in terms of carbon than driving. The Green Party, for example, oppose it, saying that it is environmentally damaging, socially irresponsible, and completely baffling.
Is all railway building and all road building socially irresponsible and environmentally damaging then? Is there no way? Are we always going to have this tussle between, not building anything at all and actually trying to make some kind of progress?
No. See, rail can be very sustainable. The problem with HS2 is the speed. But in reality, you can invest in the current infrastructure, as I said earlier, with longer trains, with more trains on the track, which, the government are trying to deny is possible, but we've done the studies, and clearly they are, and clearly the commercial operators like Arriva, who've bid for that open access agreement, think that it is possible. And it's just basically toys for the boys.
Too early to say. Do you think this is going to go ahead or not?
Infrastructure project. Oh, well, that's the thing. I think what the problem is that the government's been exceptionally arrogant, because back in December we had 5 legal challenges went in, and they haven't reported back yet. So we might find out we might find out tomorrow that the government have acted unlawfully in what they've done so far, and it's going back to square one. So there's a long, long way to go. I was just talking to, say, BBC Radio Leeds, and they were promised a station at Elland Road in 1985, and it still ain't there. So, it's a long way to go.
Joe, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.